most visually interesting mediums out there. There are several things that you can easily do through the power of film and television. But in theater, everything has to be done live. You can't just hide something with CGI or in the editing room. Everything you do has to be done within the confines of a stage. And while stuff like choreography and stunts are very impressive in film and television, they don't necessarily have the same magic whenever you see it occur right in front of your own eyes. That is where Cirque du Soleil truly shines, making the unbelievable believable by showing some of the most talented physical performers of all, bringing the magic of the circus to musical theater and creating something that is 1000% its own.
But for those unaware, here's a quick history lesson. Founded in 1984, Cirque du Soleil is a Canadian entertainment company that specializes in live theatrical productions that feature many different circus performers doing some of the most amazing tricks that you will ever find. Their shows are less about story and more about just experiencing all of the fantastical dancing, acrobatics, and all the amazing stuff that is happening right before your eyes. And I was lucky enough to see a production of one of their shows just a couple weeks ago. That being Corteo. Yes, a couple weekends ago, I was lucky enough to see a touring production of Cirque du Soleil's Corteo as a part of a school trip. I was pretty hesitant to go because I had no idea if I was going to like it, because I'd never heard of Cirque du Soleil before this, but after doing some research, I was like, okay, I could see how this could be fun, and I went on the trip, and oh my god, I had a blast, because this show is incredible. As I stated before, Cirque du Soleil really doesn't have much of a story in their shows, but that doesn't mean that there is like zero story to be found here. There is in fact a story. The story is about a death of a clown, and the clown is experiencing his funeral. And the funeral is portrayed by various different circus acts. The more circus acts that the clown sees, the further he gets to the afterlife. So the show does actually give us a thematical and plot reason to why they do tend to feature several different acrobatics and circus acts throughout the entirety of the show, along with depicting a lot of angels that are, of course, being hung by harnesses through the ceiling. While there is a story attached to the show, the story is not the show's point. The point of the show is to look at the cool visuals. But then again, even in a medium where the point is to go and experience the world, you do kind of have to give your audience a reason on why the characters are doing this. And the in-universe explanation is that it's a funeral for a circus performer, so they are doing circus acts to honor their friend. Plus, the show does eventually lead to an emotional payoff towards the very end, which I will not give away for those of you who have not seen it. Now, let's talk about the characters really quick, because the characters are not super duper memorable. You don't really get to know the characters very well because you mainly get to spend the time with the circus ensemble one at a time as they do their various performances, whether that be singing or acrobatics or dancing or whatever that might be. But that is to say that there aren't any memorable characters in here. I personally think that my favorite one is this big guy right over here. He's a hoot. Ringmaster, I feel, is also a pretty memorable character. And of course, you got the dead clown himself, whose funeral we are having. And he doesn't really have a whole lot of personality to himself. He's mainly just a fun guy. Like, you know, he's a clown. He's a little funny, and he likes to have fun. But it's clear that in this show that the characters are a bit of an afterthought, and they're not really given a whole lot of depth outside of what we see right in front of our eyes. Speaking of seeing what is in front of your eyes, that is why you came to see the show. To see Corteo. Not to like analyze it, but to see Corteo. And all of the various different acrobatics, all of the different stuff they do. And holy shit, does it deliver. You got people spinning in various different rings all across the stage. You have multiple angels that are being carried from the downstage. You got a bed floating in midair. You got a child being carried by a bunch of big balloons floating in the audience. You straight up have a vaudevillian style ladder routine done completely live right in front of you. The grand majority of the stuff achieved within this show could be done in another medium, but it definitely would not have the same effect as it was if you saw it live. Because that is the true beauty of theater as an art form. Whatever you see that's right in front of you, that is happening for reals. And sometimes it's not 100% sure how they did it. With movies and television, the answer for a while was a mystery for the common consumer. Until recently where, they just did it with CGI. But you can't really use CGI in theater for the most part unless you're using projections. So, for the grand majority of theater, you're doing everything live and everything is happening directly onto the stage, and you seriously have to try and hide the strings. You have to hide what is going on. So the fact that a production such as Corteo is able to achieve all of this fantastical elements with song, with dancing, with singing, with acrobatics, with tons of stuff that could very well kill people if they don't practice. I'm sure that you have all heard stories of performances that have went horribly wrong during rehearsals because they weren't properly trained or I'm sure that you have all heard stories of shows where people got seriously hurt during performances because the performers weren't properly prepared for the roles. When you get a show like Corteo, where every single second they are trying to one-up themselves on what type of stunts and effects and dances that they can achieve on the stage, to the point where a lot of it is death-defying stunts happening right before your eye, you have to make damn sure that the actors and the performers are safe and that they know what they're doing so they don't hurt themselves. And you also have to make sure that the tech know what they're doing, because sometimes their lives are in the tech's hands. So it is just amazing that Cirque du Soleil managed to achieve it with Corteo and with all their other shows, because this show is truly a marvel of musical theater, and it's not even traditional musical theater, because I didn't even mention the songs. The songs themselves, they're beautifully sung, but they're all in languages that I can't understand, so I don't really see myself listening to them. Sorry. But again, it's not about the story, it's not about the characters, and it's not even about the songs. It is about the visuals. This is a completely visual play, and I highly recommend that you guys check out a production of Corteo if it is happening in your area, or buy the DVD, because that is also a very good way to support Cirque du Soleil. Holy shit, that rhymed!
Anyway, guys, that will be it for this video. What do you guys think of Corteo? Please let me know down in the comments below. And also, please be sure to subscribe so that you always get notified on when future episodes of Theater Talk are uploaded. But until then, I will see you later. Bye!
SpongeBob SquarePants, you have been found guilty of the crime of creating an incursion with the multiverse, constantly hopping from timeline to timeline without any sign of stopping. even causing people around you to jump dimensions. Your punishment for your crime is death. You shall be executed tomorrow. Is that understood?
Yes, Your Honor.